Hi everyone, welcome to I'm All Right. My name is Lisa Robertson. I'm an editorial director and a writer of both fiction and nonfiction. And the purpose of my YouTube channel is to help aspiring writers and new writers kind of develop the skill set and mindset they need in order to take their writing to the next level. This week we've been doing a series on the 7 habits of successful writers. This is day 7, so this is our final video in the series. And we're going to talk today about something that I call discern, discover, dissect, right? Which is just because I really like alliteration. Another way to think of this, and probably an easier way to think of this, is just to read like a writer. What I mean by that is really simple. I want you to start looking at your favorite writers in your favorite genres or in the genres that you work in and kind of try to figure out what it is that they do so well that has given them so much success and how you can start to do that too, okay? I'm going to give you a couple really specific examples something that I do, and that's something that also another friend of mine that does, okay? The first thing is I write mysteries and thrillers, which are, of course, they have to be super heavily plotted. And plotting is something that's just not my forte. You know, I can do it, obviously. You have to, but I don't do it well. And I tend to overwrite and overcomplicate things. And then for me, the revision process becomes about taking out extraneous stuff and closing kind of some of the loopholes that I've created for myself. So because I write mysteries and thrillers, obviously I love them, right? So I'm a big reader of them. And I noticed that one of the writers that I really loved, her plots were amazing. They were so tight and concise. And, you know, she always seemed to know like how to weave a red herring in there or how to up the tension. You know, her scenes and sequels, they just kind of happened to me what seemed like in a really natural way. And those were things that I was struggling with. So even though I like to read her books just because they're good and they're a series of books with a set of returning characters solving crimes in an interesting city, you know, kind of like what I do, hopefully, I stopped reading them just because I enjoyed them so much and started reading them a lot more critically. I tried to look at her name is Tammy French. She's a great writer. Look into her books if you're looking for a new thriller series. I really enjoy hers. And because I enjoy them so much because her plot moves along so quickly. And so I really tried to study what she did. How, you know, it's not a formula. This isn't like a romance novel where X happens in chapter 6. But there did seem to be recurring themes there that I could start to use in my writing as well. And so I did that and it helped me. Now, one of my friends, I've talked about her on here before. She's one of my critique partners and one of my friends. Her name is Michelle. Michelle writes fantasy books for kids, middle grade kids, and they have a lot of magical elements in them, you know. Kind of sound like Harry Potter to you a little bit. I mean, her books bear no resemblance to Harry Potter. It's not the same thing at all, but she uses J.K. Rowling and how J.K. Rowling weaves humans and magical creatures together, how she introduces them, how her kids interact with them, how she explains and balances things that don't need a lot of description with things that need a ton of description because they don't really exist in our world. So she uses her as a guidebook or a blueprint for how to do those elements in her writing. So I want you to really do that as well. Look for the writers in your genres that do things well or that do things that you aren't doing so well or that you're still struggling with. And instead of just reading them for the enjoyment of it, I want you to read them like a writer. That's the hallmark of a professional, right? And we talked all week about how successful writers are professional, persistent, and positive. So today's is all about professionalism, and that is about finding what you admire in successful writers and finding out how they do what they do. Taking those books, literally take those books apart. Not like you're cutting the spine open. That's not what I mean. But you're literally... You read the book because you enjoy it, but then you go back and you read it to study it. And when you do that, you'll pick up a lot of tips and tricks that you can bring into your own writing that will help you so much. And it's still a pleasurable experience. It's not so much like work. You're reading a great book in a genre you love by an author you admire. That's not a bad way to spend a weekend, okay? So that concludes today's video, which also concludes this week's series. Super excited. I'll be back tomorrow with the start of a brand new series. This one is going to be about the 7 steps of revision. I'm super excited to bring that to you. I think it's going to have a lot of really concrete, tangible advice. These have been kind of a lot about mindset. We're going to move on from that a little bit, develop more with skill set. So I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.